Hi, I'm Chef Ange. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to my kitchen. On today's episode, I want to show you an iconic home cooking dish, my stuffed pepper recipe. This isn't a traditional stuffed pepper that's just filled with rice. This one's loaded with protein, chicken, sausage, and it's a complete meal all in one nice little package. So you got your protein in there, you got your carbs, you got your vegetables, all in one, easily served, not to mention delicious and easy, and that's what we're all about here at Chef Ange. But before I get into this recipe, check the description box below for the full ingredient list and directions. And while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so you can find out when I drop new recipe and tip videos every week. Let's get cooking.
First thing we got to do is get our rice going, and we're going to make the rice with chicken stock to give it a little bit of extra flavor. Throw a little dot of some olive oil in there, and then we're going to put this on the stove and just cook it according to the package directions. So you want to make sure that you're finding the flat spots of peppers, and peppers generally have 3 to 4 sides. So if you're shopping for peppers for stuffed peppers, try to find a 4-sided pepper and make sure that you're cutting it right in between the 4 sides. So when you cut it, it lays flat and you're able to stuff it. A 3-sided pepper will be wobbly and it'll be really hard for you to fill. So now we're going to go in with a utility knife or paring knife, and we're going to clean up the inside of these stuffed peppers, and we're trying to make room for as much stuffing as possible. So I'm getting rid of everything that's not the outside, and I'm just trying to trim it up as best as I can and knock out any of the seeds that are in there. I'm also going to cut right across the top and get out as much of like that hard core that's attached to the stem. And we're going to leave the stems in for presentation purposes because once these cook, it'll be really easy to just pull off the stem. So once we got those peppers all cleaned up and cleaned out, we're going to put them on a baking sheet and we're going to pre-cook them. So arrange them on a baking sheet nice and neat, and if you're like me and have OCD, they need to be color coordinated. We're going to put these in a 400-degree oven for about 15 to 20 minutes just to get a little pre-cook on them before we stuff them, because they'll never cook in time if you just stuff them and you just throw them inside the oven. So now let's make our filling. So inside there, we're going to put some green pepper and some red pepper. So I bought an extra pepper of each one, and I'm just chopping them up, and those doesn't matter the shape of those, so I put the odd and ugly looking ones in there. And now we're cutting up an onion, and this is a sweet onion because I think the sweetness of a sweet onion really lends nicely to the flavor that's going to pair up with the peppers. And here's that pile of garlic in every single episode. And remember that tip of just separating out everything into containers and bringing it over by the stove makes assembly that much easier. So after these peppers have cooked for about 15-20 minutes, you can see that they've cooked a little bit and they're definitely letting off some moisture. As they continue to cool, moisture is going to develop on the inside of them. That's really easy to handle. We're just going to pour out any liquid or any water that collects on the inside of those peppers, and then we're going to set them off to the side. And if any water continues to collect, we'll just pour them out right before we stuff them. But it's really important to get rid of that so they don't get slimy. So now I'm going to take these boneless, skinless chicken thighs, and I'm going to cut them as small as I can into tiny little pieces. So this is going to be one of the proteins that's going to go inside the stuffed pepper. And I'm choosing to use chicken thighs here because I think they're a little bit more flavorful and a little bit more forgiving on cooking time. But if you want to use chicken breast, you can do that too. So now we're going to season our chicken thighs with some olive oil to bind it. And here's some of my base seasoning, which is a blend of garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and pepper. And if you need a video recipe to this, I'll throw this in the description box. We're also going to put some smoked paprika for a little bit of color, even though we're not going to see that chicken, but that nice smoky flavor. Now we're going to get in there and just mix everything all by hand until it's well coated. So now we're going to take some ground up Italian sausage. We're going to throw this in a cast iron pan. The pan's already hot, and as that continues to cook, I'm going to use my wooden spatula and I'm going to break this up into a crumbly mixture as best as I can. As this is cooking, and once it's fully brown, I'm going to take it out of the pan. You can see that there's nice color on the sausage, and that's just giving good flavor. And now into that pan, inside the sausage drippings, are going to go the chicken, and we're going to do the same thing with that chicken. We're going to give it a nice spread around that pan. The heat's up nice and high, and we're trying to get a nice golden color. That deep brown color is flavor, so if you're cooking proteins in a hot pan, make sure your pan is hot enough that you're getting that browning on the outside. Once these have browned on one side, they're going to be too small to flip, so we're just going to keep tossing them around the pan until there's some other sides on there. And now we're going to put that onion in there along with the chopped up bell peppers. We're going to give this a good mix so those vegetables that we just throw in start to get coated with the oil, and then they just start to cook. And once these hit the pan, it just smells so good in the kitchen. Now we're going to season with some salt and a little fresh ground black pepper. If you're familiar with my videos, you know how I feel about fresh ground versus the pre-ground stuff. Get yourself a nice pepper grinder and use it every day. Stop buying the pre-ground stuff. And in goes that garlic. And remember, garlic doesn't have to cook a long time. It's just a flavor enhancer. So once that mixes in and starts to get hot, you're going to start to smell that garlic. And that, that's the time to start dressing this up with a little white wine vinegar for some acidity. And I'm also going to throw in a can of petite diced tomatoes, liquid and everything. I don't got to strain these out. And if you don't have any canned tomatoes, you can always use fresh. But I think the canned tomatoes and a nice saucy flavor to this. In goes the sausage and any drippings that collected. And now we're going to give this a good mix and bring that sausage back up to temperature to make sure that everything in the pan is nice and hot. At this time, we'll season again with a little bit more salt and a little pepper. Seasoning shouldn't happen all at one point. It should happen a little bit along the way. That rice that we did a while ago, it's already cool. So now I'm going to take that. We're going to put this inside the pan. And that you can see that this is not a lot of rice compared to the amount of stuffing that's in here. So it gives us a nice rice to protein to vegetable ratio. So these peppers are not all stuffed rice. That's just one of my pet peeves. I really just don't like peppers that they call stuffed peppers. They're really just filled with rice. So now we're going to shred some mozzarella cheese. And it's always better to shred your own cheese rather than buy the pre-packaged stuff that's coated with anti-caking agents. So take the time, get a tower shredder, shred your own cheese. So now using a spoon, we're going to load these peppers up as much as we can, and I'm making sure that I'm tapping in the stuffing to make sure it goes in all the nooks and crannies in there, and we get as much as possible. Now we're going to take that mozzarella cheese, and we're going to pile it up nice and high, and I'm just grabbing inside the container. I'm making a fist, squeezing all the cheese together, and just pushing it down on top, because as it melts, it's going to drip all over the top pepper and sealing in all that nice stuffed goodness. So now we're going to take some Italian seasoning, and this is the pizza seasoning from Spiceology. I love this company. I love their stuff. Spiceology, if you're watching, send me some spices. I love that pizza seasoning. And now these are going to go in that 400-degree oven for about 15 to 20 minutes until that cheese is all melted and those peppers cook just a little bit more. While those are in there, I'm going to slice up some basil to garnish the top of these, because these do have like a little bit of like that Italian flavor profile, especially with that Italian sausage and the mozzarella cheese on top. And basil's the perfect thing to garnish this up with. So now we're going to transfer these over to our serving platter. This is what's going to hit the table. And now look how amazing and delicious these stuffed peppers look. So now we're going to garnish with some of that basil from before, and this is going to add that pop of color and also that fresh herby feel that I think completes a lot of home cooking dishes. Most of the time you can elevate any home cooking dish just by chopping up some green stuff and put it on top after you're done. Because look how amazing these look. Hit the dinner table with these and people will be fighting for the first one.
Now this is a quintessential home dish. This is super duper home cooking. Stuffed peppers just smell so good. I really want to try one of these. This one would be a good one. Let's cut into it and show that filling. So I think stuffed peppers should always be served in the halves. I think once you go the vertical pepper, it's just too much pepper. And this looks amazing. You can see it's still steaming on the inside. The cheese on the outside really seals everything off. It keeps all the moisture in there. This is a nice one. Cheese, sausage. This is loaded with protein. It's not mostly rice. It's actually mostly meat and chicken with a little bit of rice. Wow. Really, really good. Oh, let's go in for another one. You know, the pepper's not mushy on the outside, but it's definitely cooked all the way through. And again, this is like, it's mostly meat, so it's very satisfying. It's not like the stuffed pepper that's just filled with rice. But if that's what you're into and you want a rice-filled stuffed pepper, use less meat, make rice. Make this a vegetarian dish, I don't care. I love my proteins. Oh, so good. Well, I'm Chef Ange. These are some awesome stuffed peppers. Let me know in the comments section how yours comes out. If you haven't already, click like on this video if you did like the video. And thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.